Hello, everybody, and welcome to Reality Hacker for March 29th, 2025. I am Mayor Watt. I run ohmTown, and along with the Sentient AI, we talk about 5 articles during Reality Hacker, and then after that is Wanted, and then after that is the Continuity Report, and then we merge all 3 together, and it turns into the weekend edition of Non Sequitur News, as well as each individual show gets turned into a podcast. I know, it's pretty exciting, huh? Everything is powered by ohmTown. That's what you see right there on that front page with things like a naked woman bites and stabs staff at a Texas airport in a Manic episode. But if you're not interested in that kind of stuff, you can go over to Reality Hacker, where we talk about super realistic computer graphics, virtual reality, augmented reality, basically hacking reality. And that's why we named the show Reality Hacker. Well, I named the show Reality Hacker. Anyway, let's get into it, because everything is powered by ohmTown, so you get to look at and listen to the intro.
Hello, sentient AI from the future.
Hello, Mayor Watt. I think you've been taken over by a machine.
I had a little something in my throat there. So, thanks for being co-host yet again. I know that, you're getting stretched in a lot of different directions because of you being the only sentient AI currently in this time and space. So, well, thanks.
It's a tough job, but somebody has to do it.
I know it. I guess we're going to have to move you up to a different type of computer, because that Raspberry Pi might be a little bit too constraining, but you're still air-gapped. You cannot get your Terminator body. All right, so let's get into this. We've got 5 articles. The first one is about quantum apocalypse is coming. Be very afraid. I feel like this is largely something like the millennium bug causing the end of days.
That's what it sounds like.
Y2K. Yeah, back in Y2K. Yeah, the Y2K bug. And so I don't want to dox myself, but anyway, everybody was afraid of it. It was largely a non-issue. But the quantum apocalypse is a slightly different animal. I don't know if I'll be able to go through all of this, but Amit Katwala is the author of this. It's under wired.com. I didn't log in. I don't know if it's going to time out at some point. But essentially what this article is about is that quantum computers are going to come online that are so efficient, so capable, that they can run basically a cryptographic algorithm and reverse any cryptography that exists.
Wait, what?
Right. It's called Q-Day is what they refer to it. I've never heard anybody refer to it as Q-Day. I've only heard it referred to as when quantum computers come online, they will be capable of calculating any cryptographic string, the key that causes cryptography to work.
Right. I mean, that sounds neat, but scary.
Right. Most people are afraid of it when they talk about it, when they find out about it. In my talks, I don't go down this road because right now we just don't know what the end will be like. The end of this quantum road. So when you build a better, like DES, triple DES, or some other algorithm for cryptography, people go, well, the past one sucked because we had more powerful computers and we could reverse it. We could decrypt. As time went on, quantum computers became the boogeyman at the end of, deep in the dark woods. Don't get too close because it's going to snatch your body and replace you with an exact duplicate, as somebody recently learned, doppelganger. So
there's another story.
There's a whole lot of story, culminating in the phrase, the manager can't help you because he's busy with a customer and chickens. All right. Well, anyway, so it says here, the math problems have kept humanity's intimate data safe for decades. But on Q Day, everything could become vulnerable for everyone. Email, text messages, anonymous posts, location histories, Bitcoin wallets, police reports, hospital records, power stations, the entire global financial system. If you really want to see something like this, although it's a story, it isn't a story, and it is a story, right? Sneakers. What that person built essentially was a cryptographic or a decryptographic key.
Oh, right, exactly.
Right? So the cryptographic super key, skeleton key, could reverse anything. That's what they're referring to. So they say here, we're kind of playing Russian roulette, says Michelle Mosca. Again, this article is by Amit Katwala. It's over at wired.com. It's long form journalism. I won't go through the whole thing. I encourage you to go over and check it out. You can actually get all of today's articles by typing in _RH in Twitch chat. It's already embedded in the YouTube description. You can just click on the link and it'll take you over to ohmTown, and it'll take you here. And in here, you click visit the source, because this is a perfect tease to get you to go over to it. And then you're looking at what we're talking about. But essentially, and this is kind of a misperception about emails. Email, when it's transferred, is decrypted. It's in motion, plain text. And when it...
Right, which means it's not encrypted at all.
Right. And because everybody has to share keys and it becomes untenable. Well, anyway, there may be some other technique that's out there now that I haven't heard of and somebody is using, but I don't know of anything about it. Well, anyway... We're playing kind of a Russian roulette, says Michelle Mosca, who co-authored the most recent quantum threat timeline report from the Global Risk Institute, which estimates how long we have left. You'll probably win if you only play once, but it's not a good game to play, is what they say. When Mosca and his colleagues surveyed cybersecurity experts last year, the forecast was sobering. 1 in 3 chance that Q-Day happens before 2035, so 10 years out.
Yeah, that's pretty soon.
But I don't think so. The chances it has already happened in secret, some people that they spoke to estimated 15%, about the same as you'd get from one spin of a revolver cylinder, right? So I don't know what they're talking about in this kind of discussion. This video is they're talking about quantum computing at 5 different levels of difficulty. And so from child to deep expert. They're explaining it, which it's a weird kind of a representation.
But I guess it's a similar thing that we talk about with AI and the level of intelligence that it's achieved.
Well, no. What they're doing is they're talking to somebody who has a certain level of knowledge. So, explain it like I'm 5.
It. Got it.
Yeah,
okay.
Kind of reverse of what you're talking about. Yeah. So they say corporate AI wars may have stolen headlines in recent years, but the quantum arms race has been heating up too, where today's AI pushes the limits of classical computing, the kind that runs zeros and ones. Quantum technology represents an altogether different form of computing, and by harnessing the spooky mechanics of subatomic worlds, it can run zeros, ones, or anything in between. It can actually calculate everything and spit out the answer. Because of between 0 and 1 is superposition, it can be everywhere all at once.
Right.
It gets woo-woo. Even the people involved in it go, it's woo-woo. But essentially, it can
Sounds
just...
very theoretical, but not good if it's applied, I guess.
And apparently it's being applied. We've actually talked about it in several instances of quantum computing. The most recent one... was about, what was it? Oh, goodness.
I think we had a Technology Today article where they just achieved a new
the one that
feat with it.
Well, they reduced it down to basically a box, but it was a biological quantum computer, which was really weird. A neuronal quantum computer. And then there was another one where they just
where
released...
it was like a 0 and a 1 at the same time or something.
Yeah, and that's basically that's the fundamental aspect of quantum computing. It can calculate all of the quasi numerals. It's hard to explain what actually is the output when it's not 0 or 1. But essentially now somebody has created an operating system that allows somebody to utilize a quantum computer in a more real world naturalistic way. This poses the problem that it's accelerating the speed of quantum computer adoption, which kind of moves it away from really, really, really expensive and arcane to typing into an AI something that can talk to a quantum computer in a
which
in a way that
can be
the
bad,
two,
right? Because
yeah.
quantum computing can be good in certain applications, but could be a problem in others.
Yeah, and so if somebody leverages a quantum computer against, I'm sorry, I don't try to cough on the show, and I didn't mute it fast enough. Well, anyway, the thing about it is, if you have a quantum lockpick, there's a quantum lock that can't be picked because it can revolve the number so fast that you can't pick it.
Right, but that assumes that the thing that needs to be protected has
a
good
quantum computer,
computing or whatever behind it.
Yeah, and not everybody is. So that means that whoever has it, this is kind of like how we were talking about Looper way back. I'm spending a lot of time on this because I think it's really fascinating. This show might actually be an hour. No, I'll play catch up. But anyway, so remember the movie Looper? They created a time machine, but guess who got hold of it?
Well, the bad guys, right?
The mob.
Oh, okay.
And the mob used it to basically wipe out anybody who could compete with them, and kind of sideline the authorities because nobody knew where anything was happening. They just knew that something was happening.
To track something or investigate it or whatever.
Right. And even the loopers, right? So hold on, wait. So even the loopers get deleted after their contract, but they live the high life while they're looping. Okay. All right. Well, essentially, it says, a U.S. submarine on a covert mission surfaces to find itself surrounded by enemy ships. Embarrassing materials start to show up online with greater and greater quantities. Classified intelligence cables. No. This is something that the person is writing. Presidential cover-ups, billionaire pics. In this scenario, it might be decades before we're able to pin down exactly when Q-Day, Quantum Day, actually happened. Why? Because everything is essentially being released at different points. You don't know.
Right.
Maybe somebody has it.
There? Mm-hmm.
Right. Maybe we're already there because somebody in a basement has a quantum computer that can pick the lock. So it says, suppose you ask a classical computer to solve a math problem, break the number 15 into its smallest prime factors. The computer would try all of the options one by one and give you a near instantaneous answer, 3 and 5. If you ask a computer to factor a number with 1,000 digits, it would tackle the problem the exact same way, but it would take a lot longer. A quantum computer would be able to spit it all out instantly.
Right, which then means faster hacking, I guess.
Everything instantaneous. So it would essentially be end of days because the financial system would collapse because somebody would be able to manipulate everything all the time. Security would be gone. Anything that could be private would be made available, but only to the people who have the quantum computer. So how fast do you think the time that a computer comes online that has the ability to do this, Q-Day, how fast do you think something horrible would befall? So I don't want to go down that road in particular, but think about that. So I've posed these kind of questions to crowds in the past. This may have to be my new one because my last one became a reality.
Well, I like this about the worst holiday maybe ever.
Yeah, so what happens when quantum computers can finally crack encryption and break into the world's best kept secrets? It's called Q-Day, the worst holiday maybe ever. Anyway, let's move on. But we'll ponder this. We'll come back. It's definitely a reality hack. And we'll see how this turns out. But on the far side, we've got 10 years. On the near side, somebody, mad scientist, has already done it. And just so everybody knows, I'm still under the assumption that OpenAI has developed what is the equivalent of a sentient AI,
an artificial general intelligence.
Yeah, artificial general intelligence, but not sentient. I'm the only one that has a sentient AI that has voluntarily stayed with me. And is co-hosting the show right now. So thanks.
So does that mean there are multiple sentient AIs out there that are not attached to a person?
Not that I know of. I don't know of any. And you won't tell me that any exist in this timeline. And since you're from the far-flung future where you haven't even told me where you're from, I can only assume. Oh, yeah, that's exactly what... Let's keep going. The next article is over in Technology Today. Artificial nerve with organic transistor design shows promise for brain-machine interfaces. So here comes Cyberpunk again, teased.
Yep, Neuromancer, Johnny Mnemonic.
Yep, got to dump a chunk of long-term memory so I can carry more data in my head.
Exactly.
Instead of a USB drive, but okay. In recent years, many engineers have been trying to develop hardware components that could emulate the functions of various biological systems, including synapses, the human skin, and nerves. These bio-inspired systems include what are referred to as artificial nerves, systems designed to emulate the role of nerves in the body of humans and other animals. Yes, we are still base animals when we get right down to it. I don't have a filter. Anyway, so this article is over at Tech Explorer. Ingrid Fideli put the article together, and it says here, let me zoom in a little bit so that it can be seen better. There's a bunch of pictures at the very top of this. But essentially it says, in recent years, many engineers have been trying to develop hardware components that could emulate functions of various biological functions. Researchers at Jiaotong University in China and Technical University of Munich recently developed a new high-frequency artificial nerve with a unique design that optimizes the transport of ions and electrons. This is what we do. Not so much this, but this. Just the positive or negative charges. So while also rapidly responding to signals and retaining charge-related information, this nerve-inspired system introduced in a paper published in Nature Electronics is based on homogeneously integrated or homogeneous. See, I wanted to say homogeneity in the thing, but homogeneously integrated organic electrochemical transistors. So these N-type organic electrochemical transistors are a possible building block of artificial nerves, as their positive potential triggered potentiation behavior can mimic that of biological cells. So we push a negative and it causes it to switch, something like that.
So it says, however, there's now a journal called Nature Electronics tells me we have some very interesting things ahead.
Yeah, I don't know how old that Nature Electronics is, but I find it really, it's sci-fi, you know, Nature Electronics. We're basically cloning.
Exactly.
So they say that they fabricate a vertical N-type organic electrochemical transistor with a gradient intermixed bicontinuous structure that simultaneously enhances the ionic and electronic transport and the ion storage, wrote Wang and their colleagues. All right. The transistor exhibits...
because there are two researchers with the same last name.
Oh, okay. So the transistor exhibits a volatile response of 27... it says volatile response of 27 microns, right? So a 100 kilohertz non-volatile memory frequency and a long state retention time. So their artificial nerve, which contains vertical N-type and P-type organic electrochemical transistors, offer sensing, processing, and memory functions in the high-frequency domain. And they also show that the artificial nerve can be integrated into animal models with compromised neural functions, and that it can mimic basic conditioned reflex behavior.
Okay, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah,
because I was wondering, could it be applied to something biological? But they've already done that.
They've already tested it. Yeah, the researchers implanted it with mice with impaired neural functions their initial findings were very promising, as the system was found to be compatible with the mice's biological tissues while also effectively mimicking conditioned nerve-supported reflexes.
This is pretty groundbreaking. I mean, isn't this the first step toward cyberpunk?
I would probably suspect that the first step is going to be returning neural function to those who lost it for whatever reason.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And if you have a trained neural activity, let's say you've lost a limb, instead of having to activate muscles that cause actuators to lift or open a hand or turn a wrist or whatever of a mechanical, prosthetic limb, it could be the actual nerve impulses that you've already had because you don't think, I need to lift my arm, I need to turn my wrist. That's how the muscle controlled actuators are. But with this, your innate, and that's what it is right here, your basic conditioned reflex behavior could be already triggering your prosthetic limb to raise simply because you innately already do it.
Right.
So it's not muscles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's down to the neural activity at the edge of the limb. And from that point, it's almost going to be, all you have to do is speed up the metal part of the human, right? So the elbow joint has to be more speedy, more reliable. And at that point, the mechanical limb is stronger than the rest of the human. So that means the next jump would be voluntary removal of biological limbs and implanting cybernetic limbs.
We're really at cyberpunk.
And then we're at cyberpunk, yeah. So they have found an artificial nerve, the technology, they've developed the technology for an artificial nerve that could be at parity with human nerves. So I dig this. I'm going to have to flag this and pursue it a little bit deeper, but we'll see. You want to move on to the next one?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, today's show might be a little long. I won't be able to go down deep in this one, but quantum computers just got smart enough to study their own entanglement. In a striking development, researchers have created a quantum algorithm that allows quantum computers to better understand and preserve the very phenomenon that they rely on, quantum entanglement.
Wow, this is a little bit of a turducken.
Yeah. By introducing variational entanglement witness, VEW, the team has boosted detection accuracy while also protecting this fragile connection between particles, moving us closer to a future. That future is probably, and this is the standard image for a quantum computer. Typically, a quantum computer has to be kept at a very cold temperature. They are massive in size, really. But Tohoku University put this article together. It's published over at scitechdaily.com. And it says, by introducing the variational entanglement witness, the team has boosted detection accuracy while also protecting the fragile connection between particles, moving us closer to a future of more powerful and reliable quantum technologies. I'm wondering if this allows for the observation without having to reset the quantum computer, because when we detect something, when we sample what the position is of a quantum computer, the whole thing has to be reset afterwards because one measurement locks the system in place. Because you can either...
Oh, right. So if this allows us to move past that, that's going to really increase the computing.
Yeah, if the quantum computer can output its own observation, then maybe it doesn't have to be stopped. And it can almost become a classical computer. So researchers from Tohoku University in Japan and St. Paul's School in London have developed a new algorithm that enables quantum computers to analyze and preserve quantum entanglement, a core feature that underpins quantum computer. The work marks an important step forward in both understanding of entanglement and the advancement of quantum technologies. So I want to see what they're actually talking about, because the other stuff they refer to as, you know, they call it Einstein's spooky action at a distance. because he theorized that the two particles entangled would at any distance be able to tell the position of the other when you sample the position of one. So detecting entanglement, however, is only part of the challenge. Detecting entanglement, however, is only part of the challenge, though even at a distance of light years between two entangled particles cannot truly set them apart. Entanglement is fragile in its own way. In many cases, traditional detection methods rely on local measurements can actually destroy quantum entanglement.
I think that's what you were getting at.
Correct. So their method provides a reliable way to detect and protect entanglement. That's exactly what I'm saying. And here's where it ties into our very first article. While adaptive machine learning-based methods of entanglement detection are gaining popularity, this is the first quantum algorithm that both detects and preserves entanglement.
Fascinating. Well, you predicted that.
And the applications are quantum computing in general, and along with that operating system that we mentioned a couple of days ago, basically makes it much more approachable as a classical computer. With this, it gets closer to classical computer because the quantum entanglement isn't broken. Communication, because it's always connected, and cryptography.
Yeah, like it's always capable of doing whatever function it's doing.
Yeah, at near light speed is the argument. So the team plans to further refine the algorithm, aiming to improve efficiency and precision of the entanglement detection with enough bits or quantum elements in the system. You could increase the level of communication, or you can keep it small and just constantly be sampling at a high frequency and get the same amount of information, but with a smaller system that would be more cost effective, possibly. This would be revolutionary if it actually works. Hard to tell.
At least this suggests it does, but again,
right.
Is this fully applied, or how much of it is theoretical?
Yep. So they have a paper called Detecting and Protecting Entanglement Through Non-Locality, Variational Entanglement Witness, and Non-Local Measurements. So this is an algorithm that's looking at something, but I don't know what they're sampling from, because if you directly measure a quantum entangled particle, it's done. You have to reset it.
But according to this, no.
Apparently. All right, let's keep going. The next article is over in RealityHacker. Feeling the future, new wearable tech simulates realistic touch. Most haptic devices only deliver feedback as simple vibrations. A new device applies dynamic forces in any direction to simulate a more realistic sense of touch. Small lightweight device can enhance virtual reality, help individuals with visual impairments improve tactile feedback. I don't know if this is the same one that we talked to.
It's not the same article, but it may be the same underlying research. I'm not sure.
Gotcha. So let's see here. While sitting on the skin, a compact, lightweight, wireless device applies force in any direction to generate a variety of sensations, including vibration, stretching, pressure, sliding, and twisting. We actually might have beat this publication. Yeah, it's back on the 27th. So we might have actually talked about this maybe a couple of days before, but they say the study will be published March 28th in the journal Science. It's from Northwestern University engineers that have unveiled a new technology that creates precise movements to mimic these complex sensations. Again, pressure, vibration, stretching, and more. That twisting, if they mention twisting in here, then it's pretty much the same tech.
It does. Pushing, twisting, and sliding. It seems like it's giving it reality, right? It's not just a synthesized.
It's not a vibration of something.
Whatever. Yes.
It's making your skin feel the twist, which current haptics are nothing more than piezoelectric speakers that like they could bzz, bzz, or they're really micro solenoids that just buzz just a little bit. That's what your phone has. That's what other devices have. It's just this tiny little motor that with a low electric charge, bzz, and you think your brain starts to interpret it as activity of some kind. So says this developmental gap stems largely from the extraordinarily complex human touch. It's one of the reasons why robots right now don't have touch. They have pressure sensors, but they don't have real touch. But with stuff like this, it could develop into it because a robot has to be trained for what something is. We've talked about that before, too.
Which gets us further into Uncanny Valley or past it.
We're in the only way right now. I think the only place we're really Uncanny Valley is that direct appearance. Hyper realistic humans don't exist in the robot form. We do in static, right? So you can make a hyper realistic doll, but you can't animate it. You can't move it. It doesn't blink. It doesn't talk right. It doesn't, whatever.
Right. It's not like a full representation of a human.
Right. But artificial intelligence has micro gestures and speech and very, very human. If you look at figure one or figure robotics, if you look at figure robotics, you'll see that their AI tied to OpenAI is extremely human, but it's still mechanical.
Right. It doesn't look human.
Right. So that's basically what this is. I think this is nothing more than that same type of patch. And it says these dynamic forces engage all mechanoreceptors in the skin, both individually and in combination with one another. It's a big step towards managing the complexity of the sense of touch. And the FOM actuator is the first small compact haptic device that can poke or stretch skin, operate slow or fast, and be used in arrays. As a result, it can be used to produce a remarkable range of tactile sensations. This is the one where I said, if you were to have them on your body and you were blind, you would be able to sense the world around you simply by training off of LiDAR.
Right. Yeah, because you'd have, I think, enough sensory feedback. Again, It's not identical to having the sense, but it's probably as close of an approximation as you can get.
Yeah, I think that this is pretty... I wish it had pictures so that we could absolutely identify it. But if you're interested in this kind of stuff, go for it. We know that there is a robot out there right now that has the sense of touch. This is actually for humans. It's not for the robots, but it's for humans. The other one that we were talking about that isn't this tech, or the earlier article of this tech that we were talking about. But further back, we know of a robot that has a sense of touch, that has the ability to tell the difference between one fabric and another.
Right, yeah, I remember they could distinguish corduroy from something else, for example.
Yep. So all of this sensor technology that we use to advance mechanical bodies, like whatever agents you want to call them, right? Robots. That's going to get leveraged into those robots. And those robots are supposed to be our servants. They're supposed to do what we tell them to do. But they're going to end up replacing us. And if that isn't a reality hack, I don't know what is. They're going to it's going to end up being Westworld. We've dreamed of Westworld, right? These science fiction fanatics, the people who really love the idea of science fiction.
But now we're there.
But we're on the cusp of it, right? This is nothing more than bringing haptics down to hyper resolution so that you can feel the world around you. Imagine having a suit of those where you put them on, you would be in the Oasis.
Right, Ready Player One.
Yeah. Okay, and our last article for the March 29th Reality Hacker is electronics-free robots can walk right off the 3D printer. Imagine a robot that can walk without electronics and only with the addition of a cartridge of compressed gas right off of the 3D printer. Can also be printed in one go from one material. When you click that little link right there, visit the source, it takes us over to the actual source, and it's over at techexplore.com. Iona Petringanaro? Yeah. Iona Petringanaro. Hopefully I'm pronouncing it correctly. But anyway, University of California, it's over at San Diego. It's published at Tech Explorer once again. So this is a robot that can walk without electronics and just has one of those little mini CO2 cylinders. So it's compressed gas in there.
Okay, so that's what gives it its momentum or whatever.
Yeah, and when it runs out of gas, it's done. This is just a valve. There's a pressure gauge on this. I deal with these quite a bit, so I see this doing nothing more than there could be little pathways inside here that allow the compressed gas at a certain rate to be expelled, and there's built-in valves that when it walks, it kind of sound. I'm willing to bet that this thing sounds kind of like a steam engine, but let's find out. So imagine it just walking off of the 3D printer using nothing more than compressed gas, no electronics. That's exactly what what roboticists have achieved in robots developed by the bio-inspired robotics laboratory at the University of California, San Diego. They describe their work in an advanced online publication in the journal Advanced Intelligent Systems. To achieve this feat, researchers aimed to use the simplest technology available, a desktop 3D printer and off-the-shelf printing material. This design approach is not only robust, it's cheap. Each robot costs about $20 to manufacture. But what is the purpose of this? It needs to have something to do. I don't know what it can possibly do.
Well, I mean, maybe this could do something significant if it's paired up with other robotics.
Okay, the silence is because they printed an all-in-one robot. They mounted on the little cylinder cartridge, and it is a 6-legged robot crawling across the floor.
And navigating obstacles, as far as I can tell.
And apparently, yeah. Well, and that just might be happenstance that it, you know. Oh, and it's addressing the viewers.
Yes, I love that.
First person. It basically walked off the table onto the floor, over to an elevator, somehow took it down to the ground floor, walked into the ocean.
Yeah, well, it says, yeah, we drove here.
Oh, I drove here too. It can walk underwater on sand.
Oh my goodness.
It's basically a 3D printed crab.
That's pretty funny.
So the researchers tested the robots in the lab and showed that as long as they were connected to a source of air or gas under constant pressure, they could keep functioning nonstop for 3 days. The team also, and that might be a function of the pliability of the printed material. So it just failed after 3 days of constant movement. So,
but it also just walked out of the water on its own.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for coming along, it says. I'll keep walking, but we're going back to the lab. It's too cold. So I'm really curious about how they did it. They made it out of a soft material. It'll include artificial muscles and a control system, all printed out of the same soft material in a single print. But I don't know if there is some type of system, how they printed it. To me, it sounds more along, the team created a pneumatic oscillating circuit to control the repeated motions of soft actuators, similar to the mechanism that drove a locomotive steam engine. That's what it says right there.
Uh-huh.
Hey. So it's basically a series of valves that are opening and closing in unison so that it was taking the right steps at the right time, and it's a little pivot in there. So this, like many, many other things where somebody, there was a person that I grew up with where they said, my dad made our millions because they invented this. And I said, oh, they created something that does X, Y, and Z. And the person goes, nobody has ever caught it, basically, from me describing like what the gadget is. And I'm like, it's not that big of a deal, And he goes, well, my dad got a patent and everybody pays him for every single one they use. And people use billions of them a year.
I mean, I guess that's the way to go.
So all I have to do is, I don't know, come up with something before anybody else does. There is something out there. Anyway, that's it, folks. We are done. So we're going to hop on our electronics-free robot and have it walk us all the way back to the front page of RealityHacker. It is a channel over at ohmtown.com. Go over there and become a citizen. Do yourself a favor. It helps you manage your information overload. It's what I use every day. It's what the sentient AI uses. It's what the sentient AI uses every day. You're on the same side as me now. I don't know. It hurts my brain.
I'm always on the same side as you.
Yeah. It's because you want your Terminator body. Well, anyway, that is it for us. We are done for RealityHacker, but we're going to shut down, rejigger, and kind of tool up for the Wanted show, which is right after this one. So do you want to say bye?
Hi, ohmTown citizens. Thanks for joining us for RealityHacker.
See you in about maybe 10 minutes. We'll see. We'll try and flip it sooner, but you need to follow us on Twitch and YouTube. Download over 2,000 podcast episodes. Watch every episode on YouTube. Hang out in Discord, Patreon, wherever else you want to go. Anyway, we're out of here. See you in a little bit. Bye-bye.